You've got to avoid emotional moves. And this one is certainly potentially deadly in the investment side of things.
Yeah.
And it goes both ways, I think. You can get really giddy about chasing opportunities and hearing about the latest stock tip, whether it's Bitcoin or GameStop or whatever is out there. And that's all, of course, been there this year. And you can say, hey, I've got to get in on that opportunity and potentially take way more risk than you need to achieve your goals. And it can go the other way as well. At the beginning of the pandemic and things start going south and the market's down 30%, you can start to really have the tendency to want to pull out your money from the market and take risk off the table, which is, of course, a bad thing to do too. And that happens. That has happened. We've sat with clients before they came to us that they did do that because they were nearing retirement, right? They were nearing the time where they didn't think they had time to make it back up. And one of the conversations I had recently with someone who was thinking like that was, don't think of retirement as the end. We've already said that here today. It is the beginning of something else.
Yes.
So a portion of your assets can still be invested for the long term in the market because you're not going to be using them for several years. So I think that's a good mind shift point there, is retirement's not the end.
I think a lot of people get stuck on the total number of assets they have and not the day-to-day income needs that they have. And that's one of those big differences between us and others, from what I understand, is that we see that retirement problem not as an asset issue, but an income issue. And I think in general, probably most of my poor decisions in my life could be linked to an emotional decision, if I were being honest with you out there.
That's true for probably most people. And Scott, you talked about, people going to cash when things got scary, and many of them still being there. I met with somebody recently who now 13 years later is still in cash from 2008.
Wow.
And you think about all of the all-time highs that they've missed, and that's one of the phrases that makes people nervous. When they hear all-time high, they're thinking, well, if we're at an all-time high, then we got to be going down. And I'll tell you a funny little story about my grandfather, and this may help you remember this and maybe think differently of it going forward. But anytime you would play a game with my grandfather, Battleship, Rook, you name it, whatever the game was, sometime during the game he'd look at you and say, now honey, you know what's going to happen. The winner of this game, at the end of it, the winner is going to be the all-time champion. But here's the deal. You'd be the all-time champion, and then there'd be another game, and then there'd be a new all-time champion. Okay? I want you to think of the all-time high like that. Okay? Even if we have a downturn, that's okay. There will be another all-time high in the future. And if everything that you're depending on for retirement is in there and it all goes down, Houston, we have a problem. But that's not how it's supposed to be done. That's not how we do it. If you segment those assets so that you have the ones that you're going to need in the first 10 to 15 years of retirement, and you don't need the longer term money until, a decade and a half, then 2008 doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter that we haven't maybe had a new all-time high in recent history. It'll be okay. There will be another one in the future.
Want more content like this delivered to your inbox weekly? Visit fastest4.com to learn more.